bring the mic down to your mouth if you need to.
All right, this is good.
Make sure it's pointing at you.
How about this? Hello, everyone. I would love it if you'd come over here to this side and move over here so I can see your beautiful faces.
It's really overdriven.
Much better, thank you. Hi, I'm Cassie Crow from Monster Man Action. I'm one of the co-leads here in Lexington, and we've got two other people that are working with me as co-leads, Lindsay Sugarman and Dina Mullins.
Still a little bit. It's like people with garble.
I'd like to welcome you here
Can you bring it down a
today.
little more?
We wear orange for a future free from gun violence. This year, once again, we unite to call out gun violence as we come together for Wear Orange. We honor communities that are shattered by gun violence. We honor families and survivors and entire communities that have gun violence in our community.
I think we're okay now.
120 people are killed every
Initially, it was just
day
bam.
in the United States from gun violence, and that is 827 people technically per year that are killed. By participating today in Wear Orange, we rally for safer communities, and together we can build a future free from gun violence. I'm going to invite Lindsay Sugarman to come up and tell you how Wear Orange was started. Why do we wear orange? Is the speaker okay? Okay. Why do we wear orange? It's all because of a teenager in Chicago named Hattie Pendleton. She was 15 years old. 2 weeks earlier, she had marched in a Barack Obama's second inaugural parade. She was in a public park in Chicago, and she was killed by a gun. Her friends, like we feel, enough is enough. They wanted to do something. And what they chose orange as their color because, as they said, hunters wear orange to protect themselves, and so will we. And they worked with leaders throughout the country, and they started the National Gun Violence Awareness Day, which is today, June 7th. It's the 10th anniversary of their efforts. It is the 8th time Lexington has had this event, and it is growing. Part of Wear Orange is for us to wear orange and also to turn our communities orange. And landmarks across the country will be orange this weekend, including the Empire State Building, the Superdome, the Washington Cathedral, just to name a few of them. In Kentucky, the bridge from Louisville to Indiana will be orange. Landmarks across the country, Lexington this weekend, including Garage will be orange, City Center will be orange, and new this year, Victorian Square Garage will be orange. Not for Tennessee. It's for Wear Orange against gun violence. And I wanted to add, this year, for the first time, the governor's mansion will be orange this weekend. We will hear a little bit more about that later. But anyway, that's why we wear orange. We wear it for Hattie Pendleton, and we wear it for all of those lives that have been lost to gun violence. We want to speak out, we want to stand up, and we want to make change. Here we are. Thank you, Lindsay. I'd like to invite Mayor Linda Gordon to come up and speak next. Thank you for being here, Mayor. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here on this day when
we honor those who lost their lives to gun violence. And before I call Dina up to receive this proclamation, I think about the message that I want to get through to everyone. We want people, especially our youth and young adults, to put the guns down. That's what this is about. And I see Divine over here. We talk about this all the time. Young people, put them down. And we consider young people up to the age of 29. So I'm really honored to be here with you to help remember those who lost their lives to gun violence. And I'd like to ask Dina to come up and receive the proclamation. Here's how it goes. So this is for Wear Orange Day. Whereas orange has become the defining color of the gun violence prevention movement, and whereas through Wear Orange, thousands of people have united around a call to end gun violence. And whereas this year, Wear Orange Weekend is June 7th through the 9th and includes National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And whereas gun violence has plagued our nation for many years and has claimed the lives of far too many Lexington residents, and whereas no one should lose their life as a result of senseless gun violence. Now, therefore, I, Linda Gordon, Mayor of Lexington, do hereby declare June 7th, 2024, Wear Orange Day in Lexington. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Dina Mullins. I'm going to read to you just a little bit about what the governor's proclamation was. The governor of Kentucky, along with the Secretary of State, Michael Adams, Governor Andy Beshear, have proclaimed today, June 7th, to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day in Kentucky. Whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of the law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with reasonable policies that reduce violence while protecting constitutional rights, and whereas gun violence prevention is more important than ever as we see an increase in firearms suicides and homicides and non-fatal shootings across the country. Whereas anyone can wear orange on June 7th, the first Friday in June, to help raise awareness about gun violence and honor the lives of gun violence victims. And that is a proclamation that was signed by the governor and also the Secretary of State. Now, it is one of my great honors to introduce Sheriff Kathy Witt. Sheriff Kathy Witt is a dedicated public servant whose commitment to justice and compassion has left an indelible mark on her community. With a career spanning several decades in law enforcement, Sheriff Witt has emerged as a tireless advocate for survivors of crime. Sheriff Witt's approach is rooted in understanding and empathy, recognizing the complex need of survivors and the importance of tailored support services. Through innovative programs and initiatives, she has implemented strategies to enhance victims' advocacy, increase access to resources, and strengthen partnerships with stakeholders across the criminal justice system. As a champion for survivors, Sheriff Kathy Witt continues to inspire positive change and foster a culture of compassion and solidarity. Her tireless advocacy and unwavering commitment to justice serves as a beacon of hope for those affected by violence and trauma. It is with great honor that I introduce my boss and our sheriff, Sheriff Kathy Witt.
You guys certainly don't deserve those very kind remarks, but thank you very much. And before I speak, and as I start to speak, I see so many of you out here who have been affected by gun violence, who have lost the most precious thing in your life. And so you are the faces, you are the voices of this day, and I want you to come stand up here with me. So if you have been affected by gun violence, if you would just join me up here. I always go off the grid, Lindsay, I'm sorry. So, I never stay in the lanes. Here we go, okay? It's going to be okay. So if you all would come up here with me. Come on. Let's see some more of you. Okay. It was very important for me to be here today. I was able to return late last night from a national board that I chair, in which a lot of our work is talking about gun violence and prosecuting those who commit acts of gun violence, strengthening the data collections that local, state, and federal law enforcement utilize to conduct their investigations and to have successful prosecutions. But I did not want to miss this. And so when I wrapped this up early on Wednesday, that meant we wrapped up early on Thursday, and that meant I got to be with you here today. And although it is very, very important for me to be here, I wish we weren't here. I wish we didn't have to be here. And even though statistics are showing that in communities across America, violent crime is seeing a decrease, one is too many. One homicide, one act of gun violence is too many. And so the work must continue. It must go on. We have to continue to work harder and more collectively and more united than we ever have before. When President Biden was vice president, he wrote a document called One Too Many. Now that document focused mainly on acts of domestic violence, but I think that phrase relates to what we're talking about today. One is too many. And although we have seen a decrease in Lexington, one is too many. And I know that all of these people up here and all of you will not stop until we get to zero, and we remain at zero. Yesterday, we celebrated the 80-year anniversary of D-Day. For thousands who fought for our freedom. But we are not free, and we will not be free until we end violence, and especially gun violence, in our community, our Commonwealth, and America. I want to thank the Lexington Division of Police for starting their cold case division. I want to thank all these detectives who are here today. I don't know when I've ever seen more detectives here from Lexington Division of Police than today. Thank you. These families appreciate you, especially those whose cases haven't been solved yet. They know you're with them by your presence here today. And so collectively, we truly will make a difference. Thank you very much.
All right. Like I said, my name is Dina Mullins. I lost my son, Sean Howard, in 2017, August 5th, almost 8 years ago. While our case was solved, our perpetrator was found not guilty. So every day we live with these remembrance that our loved ones are not here with us. Our loved ones aren't able to gather freely in this beautiful day and enjoy the sunshine and enjoy being just in our presence. We live every day without that, and it's very heart-wrenching. And we don't want to have to see another family go through the same anguish that we go through daily. It's not a fun place to be. It's not a fun club to join. It's filled with a lot of emotions, a lot of tears, but we have support of each other to lean on. I always say that I didn't want to ever join this club. I wish I would have never met these people in this situation, but I love them all. And I was given my invitation to this club when I received my son's death certificate. And unfortunately, Sean will be forever 19. He would have been 27 this year, but he will be forever 19. And I will carry him in my heart, along with all of my family and his friends. But we don't want anybody else to have to experience this. The next survivor I want to call up is Nathan Thomas. He is our Mom's Kentucky State Survivor Lead.
Thanks, Dita. Hello, everybody. My name is Nathan Thompson, and I am a gun violence survivor. I have lived, worked, and raised a family in Lexington for over the past 30 years. It is my home, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to speak to you all today. I grew up in eastern Kentucky, and it was there on January 18, 1993, that I experienced the gun violence that forever altered the course of my life. That day, a classmate walked in late to our English classroom and shot and killed our English teacher, Deanna McDavid, and the school custodian, Marvin Hicks. He then held us hostage for nearly half an hour before letting us go and turning himself into these words. My former classmate ended 2 lives that day and radically changed the lives of 22 others. There were 22 kids in that class that lost all sense of safety and security they will ever know. I remember thinking that afternoon as I waited to give my statement, this will never happen again. They will never let someone come into a school with a gun and ever do something like this ever again. Yet today my son participates in active shooter drills right here in Fayette County. Stories of school shootings and mass shootings are so commonplace that it takes mass carnage in Uvalde, Texas to really get our attention. And even then, we move on with no substantial changes in our national approach to gun violence and gun safety. Today is a day that even UK fans wear orange. It's Wear Orange Day. It exists because a 15-year-old girl with life ahead of her was shot and killed in Chicago in 2013. Heidi Pendleton had just had the experience of a lifetime, performing in President Obama's inauguration parade only a week before her life was ended by gun violence. Her friends and family have asked us to stand up, speak out, and wear orange to raise awareness about gun violence. As Lindsay talked about, they picked this orange color because this is the color that hunters wear as they're hunting in the fall to protect themselves from being shot. As a gun violence survivor, I am here to make sure their message is heard loud and clear. My personal message to you builds on this need for awareness. Often when we talk about gun violence prevention, we talk about things like an average of 120 Americans shot daily, or guns being the leading cause of death among children and youth. But it hits closer to home when you think about the fact that of these 50 United States, the Commonwealth ranks 10th in gun injuries and 14th in gun deaths. Let that sink in a bit. This is important because the impact of gun violence is not contained to the loss of life that may occur. Gun violence has a devastating effect on every individual who experiences it. I can tell you that my own personal journey of recovery from gun violence has been absolute hell. It is a story of chronic PTSD, serious physical health issues and recovery, years of therapy, and immeasurable impact on my family, friends, co-workers, and acquaintances. raise awareness about gun violence, we must be vigilant in reminding everyone that there are common sense approaches for gun violence prevention and safety in our state and in this country that do not preclude an individual's right to own firearms and includes necessary protections for individuals' rights to be free of gun violence and gun death. So here's the other reason I'm talking with you today. I stand here as a survivor of gun violence that is joining Javia's family's plea that we raise awareness about gun violence. But I'm also standing here as someone who never wants my son, wife, father, mother, sister, family, friends, or co-workers, or anyone that you know or love to experience the pain of loss or living with gun violence. If you want to get involved in ways to bring greater awareness to the pain, the devastation of gun violence, I invite you to text HONOR to 64433 to be connected to Every Town for Gun Safety, Mom's Command Action. I want to thank you all so much for attending this event today and for listening to my words. Thank you.
All right. Next, I want to call up Marita Cole. She is a survivor also.
Hello, my name is Marita Cole. My son was William Cole, or Joshua. He was murdered in 2022, May the 22nd. This has been such a horrible experience and an even more horrible journey in life. It doesn't ever stop. You don't get a minute to breathe. I am more than excited that I am here today. I didn't think I was going to be able to make it through May. So you go through May, you go through Mother's Day. There's nothing like being a mother with no child. You have no child because somebody decided to take a gun and murder yours. So I feel a certain type of way every day. So I make it through Mother's Day, and then I have to go through the 22nd, which is the day that he was murdered. I've been up, I've been down, I woke up crying, I've been work and then be crying and not be able to stop. Nobody should have to go through this. Nobody should have to experience this every single day. And when I get through that, I have to go through Memorial Day. So I'm like, Lord, just let me make it one more day. I have completely exhausted everything that I have within me to remain standing. This is my 7th year. It is by far the worst year I have ever experienced. It is now like, how am I going to survive one more day? Anybody that has to go through this because of gun violence, I feel for you. I pray for you. Every time you hear a siren, I start praying because I'm hoping they're not going to die. They're not going to die. They're not going to die. It doesn't even have to be somebody in there that's shot. It just triggers this in my mind every single day. So I wish that the guns would be put down. I wish that no one else would have to experience this. I wish children would find a reason to live and want to live and see the future and be our future. But we've already started and it's only June. So how are we going to make it the rest of the summer? Let's make it no more. Let's not have one more child, not another parent bury another child. Let's pray for the safety of these kids and everyone else. Thanks.
All right, next I'd like to call up Ricardo Franklin.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ricardo Franklin. I lost my brother to gun violence 10 years ago. April 13th, he was shot inside Duncan Park. He He later passed at 14. So it's been a difficult journey for myself, for my family, for friends, for loved ones altogether. Since then, I've grown up. I graduated high school, graduated college, got a job. Almost 4 years at the sheriff's office. Saw my mom work here at the sheriff's office, where she was an advocate. She would be here with us today. I believe she is here with us today, standing right beside us, smiling, because she knows this group that stands with me, stands out there in the crowd, is dedicated to ending gun violence altogether. You know, like Miss Maria said, this life is worth living. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful life, and to see the effects of gun violence in our community all over the United States it hurts. Multiple lives are being taken away. Not only the life that is taken due to the act of gun violence, but the shooter as well. The perpetrator who decided to pull the trigger is putting themselves in a situation where they're throwing away their lives. Beautiful lives that we can contribute to society and grow together. This life is so worth living for. There's so much joy that I get in my daily life, that I see getting to be around kids every day, with baseball on the side, getting to come in the office, see my coworkers, see my friends, my family. This life is so worth living for. There's so much more out there for us. There has to be another way. That way isn't the right way. It will never be the right way. We're tired of seeing it. My mom said, "You mess with the wrong mom." There's a lot of moms that stand behind me, to the side of me right now, that would say the same exact thing. There's a lot of fathers that would say you mess with the wrong dads. There's a lot of brothers that say you mess with the wrong brothers as well, and sisters. You know, it's something that together I believe that we can achieve what we want to see. Like Ms. Maria said, we want to see the rest of this summer. We don't want to see that. We don't want that in our city. We don't want that in our nation. We don't want that anywhere. So I'll end it like I usually end it, like my mom ends it. Let's get better and do it together. We can do this.
Survivors are going to come up and speak to you.
I will. My name is Jackie Shannon. I'm the grandmother of Tyler Williams, who was murdered in 2017. The anniversary of his death is about to come up. He was murdered on the July the 1st, 2017. He actually died on the 2nd of July. I raised Tyler from the time he was a toddler. And no grandmother or mother or father should have to bury a child. Never. They're not supposed to go before us. And I always say, you can't kill love. Might have taken Tyler from me, but you can't kill the love that we have and have for each other. And I want to mention somebody that has stood beside me from day one. My brother, John Jackson. He appeared out here a minute ago. He stood by me from day one, no matter what, no matter who. And when he appeared today, I had to smile. Because we have a history in our family of people being killed, murdered by gun. My grandmother's mother, my grandmother's brother, my grandmother's son. And it goes on. And then there's Tyler. And there was my grandmother's son's son. That's no history that anybody wants to bear. Nobody. And should have to. And yes, something needs to be done. Every day, you're hearing sirens. You're hearing gunfire. And you know of or you know someone that's been a victim. And we don't want to see that. We don't want to hear that. This is a club you don't want to belong to. Not at all. But I stand with my sisters and my brothers that have been a victim. And ask for your blessings.
Good afternoon.
my name is Vanessa Smothers, and my mother, 82-year-old Alex Carter, she was murdered October 21st, 2020. She was spending the day with her nephew, with her grandson, my nephew. She was on the passenger side of her vehicle. We was driving the car. She did not get to the back of the car fast enough. She wasn't able to get to my house. She lived with me. Two cars sped up our street, shooting at each other. My mother got some of those bullets. According to the ER doctor, she died instantly. I tried my best to save her life. I called 911 while trying to save her life. It didn't work. For 2 years, I beat myself up. I said, if only I could have gotten there faster. If only I could stop the bleeding. If only I could get those bullets. My mother would still be alive. My mother's murderer is still out there. Many people were in our neighborhood when it happened. No one saw me. And I'm glad we have these organizations. I'm glad we have the mayor, the sheriff, and all these other organizations, the back Karama, to help us stop the violence. I'm glad that we have this community, that we work together to help stop the violence. So I ask you guys, you see something, say something. Help us stop the violence. This year I've decided I'm going to turn something bad into something good. I have formed the Alice Carter Foundation. On July 13th, my family and I will be giving away backpacks to children with some school supplies at the East Side Branch Library, Blake Drake James Drive, from 12 noon until 2 o'clock. Thank you. My name is Dr. Snow. Giving all the glory to God, forget of my life, of my salvation. If it had not been for the Lord, I wouldn't be sitting here today. This pain is real. So I just want to know prayer over Lexington. Over Illustration Project here. I ask you to rain down and shine your heart, shine your glory on us, Lord. Let us not give into the temptation of what we've done. Let us love one another, Lord. Let us embrace one another, Lord. Let us continue to sanctify and magnify your name, Lord. I just want to say that and pray for the Lexington. Amen.
I have been prepared, so this will probably be short. But my son on May 28th, 2023, was killed right across the street in a parking lot in cold blood in front of a beautiful mural that I only hope was the last sight he saw and not his murderer's face. The murderer came up behind somebody else, pulled the gun out of his pocket, and shot him dead in one shot. I had no idea that a person can hurt, a person's heart can hurt this much, and you still be breathing. You know, how can I still be breathing when my son is not? And I've tortured myself over the last year of it. You know, what if I'd done something different? What if, you know, I had called him earlier that night? What if I had, and we all go through that, and we all blame ourselves, and we're blameless. The person who did this was the evil person who decided that he wanted to kill somebody. He wanted to show how big a guy he was by pulling this guy out and shooting somebody. He took away my world. He took away my husband and my world. My sister-in-law back here, prophetic, has been to many of these events. This is my first, and quite frankly, it's the first one I feel like I've been able to come to because I've been in a very dark place for the last year. I've organizations like this to make a difference. And I felt like today, since it was right across the street from where my son died, I felt like I had to come and take part in this today. And it's encouraged me to do more. These people are saints. They're wonderful. They're working through the most incredible pain you can ever feel. And they are working to make other people's lives better so this doesn't happen to anyone else. I was told that my son's death was only the 9th homicide last year at that time. You know, that didn't mean a lot to me because you know, he was my son, he was dead. Only the other 9 wasn't meaningful. And I will say that the detectives, the police, and the prosecutors have all been very cooperative and taken us through, walked us through the process, which is a process. I've been in that court gallery too many times already. It's a process none of us thought should happen. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other survivors that want to come up and talk? If you're a survivor and you need someone, fire truck comes every time I talk. Every time. If you're a survivor and you need help, you can reach out to any one of us. The Sheriff's Department, we have a group, We Are Survivors, which Anita Franklin started. And we have a group where we do flower therapy. We had the first ever Survivor Summit hosted by the Sheriff's Office. And we try and come together and be together and support each other. So if you need any more information, you can reach out to the Sheriff's Office. They will direct you to one of us to get you involved, or Moms Demand Action. You can reach out, go on there's an app, Moms Demand Action app you can download and be a part of. But now I want to introduce Divine Karama, the director of One Lexington.
Too many killing one another, our youth using a gun against their brother, too many mothers losing their son. I said, nah, OG, don't give them a pack. We need more OGs that'll give them the facts, you know. Knowledge and wisdom, proper nutrition, God over religion, college not prison. The cycle gotta end, we gotta love on our babies. This is the residual from drugs in the 80s. There were ops in the system prosecuting addiction, generational poverty, opportunities missing. Too many young kings that feel like they nothing, and so they join gangs just to be a part of something. This is the art of substance, food for the soul, Lord. I'll take a role. We need an ark to fit all of us. Praying for single mamas and kids dealing with trauma. Gunshots at night, it's hard to dream with insomnia. I started in this position at One Lexington 3 years ago today. And two of the most powerful parts of this job that informs everything that we do, guides the ship that we drive, is first and foremost the individuals and families that are behind us. Those who've been directly impacted and have lost loved ones to gun violence. one thing I can say about loss is when you lose a loved one, usually those first couple weeks, people are texting, they bringing over a whole bunch of chicken, they a whole bunch of food. But after a couple weeks, man, people tend to go back to their lives. People go back to their routine, and while those who have lost loved ones are stuck to deal with grief, one thing that we've learned over the last 3 years is that grief could last a lifetime. It impacts marriages, it impacts children, it impacts employment, it impacts everything. And so for those of us that are service providers out here, when we're thinking about survivors, this isn't a 1 week, a 2 week, a 1 month journey. Our ecosystem has to figure out how do we support these people for the long run. So that's probably the most impactful part, biggest learning curve of my job. And so the second piece is something I didn't know I was going to do, but I think it's relevant. So if you could indulge me for like 2 minutes, I want to read a list really quick. And this is the other part of my job that has been so impactful for me, because obviously One Lexington is a program, but it's no longer a program to us. And so this is a list, and this is a short list. Public safety. Obviously E911, the police, sheriff's department, corrections and fire, federal, state, and local justice system partners. Over 1,000 Lexington youth, survivors of gun violence, former drivers of gun violence, and even gang members, individuals who just care, the governor, the mayor, national partners like Cities United, University of Kentucky, Berea College, Eastern Kentucky University, every single department and division in city government, our equity implementation officer, Tiffany Brown, programs like Work Lex, Goodwill Ignite, Parks and Rec, community centers, neighborhood associations, LexTran, mental health partners such as NAMI, New Vista, the Neighborhood Healers, Trauma-Informed Care Counseling of Lexington, the Andrews Brothers, and many more. Advocacy groups like Moms Demand Action, even Build. Nonprofits such as OMAC, MAID, Rima Word Foundation, the Voyage Movement, Lexington Leadership Foundation, Lexington Rescue Mission, and Project Peace. Organizations like SWAG, the Lexington Striders, Exhilarating Inc., Community Inspired Solutions, the Voyage Movement, Fatherhood Foundation, Lexington Ravens Organization, Community Council, Urban League, even hip-hop artists like Gosh Josh and Tony Wavy, even bouncers at nightclubs. These are just a few of the partners that make up what One Lexington means. It's not just organizations that are here today. It's not just organizations that's on the news. It's not organizations that come and do press conferences, but there's a lot of people in this city that is helping to address this each and every day. And if we as a community look at this like a puzzle piece and we try to figure out what part that we play, to me, that's what encapsulates what One Lexington truly means. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who has spoken today. You've heard the anguish of survivors, these moms that are up here, and as the sheriff said, and they've said, not one more. So, what can we do? You've heard any of the statistics about Kentucky, access to guns, the risk of suicide. 61% of gun violence in Kentucky is suicides. You've heard firearms are the leading cause of death. For kids and teens, it's 9%.
Every month, 70 women in the U.S. are killed by intimate partner with a gun. In Kentucky, it's 700 people a year. And how much does that cost? $9.6 billion a year, 183 million per taxpayer. That's in Kentucky. That's a very important statistic. So what can we do? So it is not one more. One of the things that Moms Demand Action through every town, what we do is we have awareness of gun violence. We support everyone impacted by gun violence, especially our survivors. But one of the most important things we can do is vote. Look for gun sense candidates. We need foundational gun violence protection in this state. Moms Demand Action spends much of the time working legislatively. I'm one of the legislative leads in Kentucky. We go to Frankfurt. We go to committee hearings. We watch the bills. And sadly, very few of the bills that we need in Kentucky to protect our citizens are not passed. We need background checks on all gun purchases. And that's the gun purchase that may be at Mount Sterling, in the back of someone's car. We need background checks. We need to reinstate concealed carry license. Right now, anyone can carry a concealed weapon without training or a license. We don't have any extreme risk. In Kentucky, for 2 years or more, we have tried to get CAR, which is Crisis Aversion Rights Retention, which is the temporary volunteer removal of guns. That's one aspect of it. And the other is for guns to be removed temporarily from those people who want to harm themselves or others. We need secure storage. Right now, kids can get access to guns. They know where they are in a home. Criminals can break into your house, get a gun. Many guns are stolen out of unlocked cars in Lexington, and all those are prime guns. We can child-proof handguns that has a camera and limit high-capacity magazines. We need to prevent gun trafficking, and most importantly, we need to be able to enact gun laws for our communities. In 1999, the legislators stopped that. We could have specific gun laws for Lexington, for Louisville. It has not passed. Crime guns, those are sold and they're back on the street. We need to destroy crime guns. Keep guns away from those who have committed violent acts. We need an Office of Gun Violence Prevention. The federal government will pay part of that, so there's very little cost to Kentuckians. What we do have in Kentucky, here's our laws. Right now, we don't have any guns on college campuses. However, there are many bills that have been brought up to do that. We have no guns in bars, and we have no guns in K-12 schools. However, several legislators want to arm teachers. I'm a former teacher, and I do not, or I cannot imagine
of our legislators in Frankfurt hide behind the Second Amendment. On-demand action in every town. We're not against anyone having a gun. We just want guns treated with the respect they need. Those guns are so others will not give them. And so we don't have these mothers up here talking about what has happened to them. You can come to us towards the end of this and ask us about gun sense candidates, because we do have gun sense candidates, but it's your job to know who you are voting for. Just remember, not one. Thank you so much for coming today. We appreciate your rally against gun violence.
Just want to say we thank you for coming out today, the media, the sheriff, our sheriff department, our police department, our detectives, our judges hiding out in the back that are here to support us. I want to thank all of you all that work in the community, the mayor's office, the mayor, everyone that attended today and took the time to come out to support survivors and help end gun violence. We appreciate you all so much. To see our community rally behind us, it's very heartwarming. Very heartwarming. Thank you guys for being here today. And don't forget to sign